Hey Jordan, how are you?
I'm doing well, Annie. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. And yeah, I'm excited to hear that you're now at Bossa. So, and hear more about the autumn winter 2022-23 collection. So, there are a few concepts that I read about that I'd love to ask you more on, starting with Hempy. So, I think what really kind of like caught my attention was that it's actually traceable too. But yeah, I'd
Mhm.
love for you just to tell us a bit more about this concept.
Yeah, the fun thing about hemp, besides the fact that it grows without forced irrigation and fertilization, pesticides and herbicides, is that ultimately when you put it together, it has more durability. Not just including the fact that it's reducing usages of land and irrigation and 60% less water compared to cotton. But that durability is really important because you have to always remember about this sort of slow fashion cycle that we need to go back to making garments that last a decent amount of time, and not only lasting a decent amount of time, but when the consumers are done wearing these products, that they can actually take that product instead of just throwing it away, because hemp is obviously a natural fiber. We can just put it back in the ground, but that's not the point. The point is then to be able to then circulate it back into creating more products. So that's the beauty of hemp, is that and cotton is the same, yes, but using plant-based fibers in general, or plant-based cellulosic fibers, gives us the capability really to create this sort of landfill diversion industry that we need to strive more for, because we all know that fashion is extremely linear. So we really want to close that, turn it into more of a circular mentality.
Yeah, and would you say too, it kind of like helps with like a balance of like, not just relying on cotton, but also gives another option so that, yeah, we're reducing our reliability on just one fiber.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that balance is always going to be a key here. This is why I love blending materials together. Like, people always ask me, oh, like, oh, why do you hate cotton so much? And I'm like, I don't hate cotton. I think that there's just it is a highly intensive you know resource intensified product that we're making in a lot of different things. It's 98%, 100% cotton. It's not necessary. So this is the fun thing, is like hemp goes really well with cotton. It goes really
Yeah.
well with lyocell, and it goes well with all kinds of different unique new man-made cellulosic fibers that are coming out. And for instance, combining it with recycled cotton, combining it with refibra technology.
Yeah.
So this is the versatility of certain fibers like hemp is great.
Yeah. I've gotten to feel a couple of the hemp tencel or fiber blends, and they feel beautiful, and the durability too is there. So I would love to see more of that. I think moving on to the next concept, what that interests me was Zeppel stretch. Um, I kind of wanted to know what this responsive stretch technology is and why Bossa decided to create this concept.
One of the big talks around town right now is obviously inclusivity. And a lot of fashion is always being geared around, you have to look a certain way, you have to be a certain way, somewhat egotistical in the philosophical mentality of it all. The great thing about Supple Stretch is that they're adapting mentalities to include more inclusivity with materials. So Supple Stretch gives it more elasticity, which also creates less concern about size, and replaces that with comfort and positivity.
Cool. Yeah, I think clothing size has definitely been a mental block, but also in terms of like we've obviously gone to a lot of online and e-commerce ordering right now. And I think, would you say that this is also a benefit there for brands who are mostly based on e-commerce and just dealing with the amount of returns that come back because of the sizing is off and doesn't quite, yeah, it's not doesn't match up quite when they get it at home.
Yeah, and you also have to keep in consideration the difficulty of applying shrinkage in mass manufacturing of denim. It's also not easy to make sure that you always get it exactly how you need to. There's a lot of human error.
Okay.
So supple stretch is great because the higher elasticity, like, don't think of just like high elasticity jegging style. This is like higher elasticity, but also you have the comfort and softness because you have actual thick enough material that really still feels like denim. So that's really the importance here, is that, at the end of the day, you want your jeans to be comfortable, but you still want them to feel like jeans. So that's the beauty of it all. And in the regards of returns, customers then when they actually purchase a pair of jeans, they're like, oh, like it looked like a pair of jeans online, but then when you actually receive fabric, you're like, yeah,
Yeah.
even though it's super stretchy, it doesn't feel like a pair of jeans anymore. So, Supple Stretch is great because it is going to help with return rates, with online consumerism. And not only that, that helps with the carbon emissions of the transportation of shipping garments, online commerce,
Mhm.
with different couriers, because you got
Yeah.
boxes, you got even human labor, you got warehouse and electricity and storage, all the things that go into getting a
Yeah.
product to a customer, and of course multiplying that by it going back. So right now, obviously one of the biggest challenges is going to be how do we create things like Supple Stretch and really keep it still in the sustainable market, and how do we reduce the amount of plastics, which is really fun. That's going to be the next challenge that we're going to start seeing from a lot of people as well.
Cool. Sounds exciting. And then kind of like another stretch option from Bossa is dynamics. And I'm kind of wondering what the main differentiators here are between the two.
Of course, yeah. So obviously, Supple Stretch is going to be definitely your super high elasticity and super softness. Very similar with the dynamics, but dynamics now is adding a whole nother sort of property to that, where we're adding elasticity now to the warp, not just the weft.
Mm.
So you're getting something that they call bi-stretch. Obviously, everybody probably already knows that name, but still, the unique concept is also adding the softness to it all, and applying a lot of the other technologies that Bossa is really working on right now, including not just the sustainability side of things, but just performance wise. Dynamics is really going to feel like your second skin. It's going to be super comfortable.
And would you be able to kind of tell us more about the sustainable attributes of it?
Well, sustainable attributes are definitely going to go with the blend of fibers that you're going to be using. So obviously, the great thing, one of the things that really attracted me in the beginning to Bossa was their extreme transparency. They would give us QR codes to see where the cotton was coming from. They're doing that also with HEMPY, which is great. As they're applying new technology, they really make sure, and they're not afraid of showing where materials are coming from, so the consumer doesn't feel like they're being greenwashed. And this is the really important part, because even though if a brand goes and does their homework, they can do the best that they ever can. But if they don't
Yeah.
gain the trust of their consumers, then they really don't have anything. And that's something that even Bossa considers, because obviously they're more B2B. So they're trying to give their B2B customers the tools to have the trust when they go B2C.
Totally. And through Boyish, obviously, you've witnessed this firsthand. And sorry, just for sake of times, last concept is Eco 3. So this is kind of different from the raw material stage that we've been raw material stage that we've been speaking about. Would you be able to explain what this concept is and how it works?
Yeah, one of the most difficult things when brands are trying to turn more products into a sustainable product is, you can't just be like, we used ozone, so it's
Yeah.
sustainable, but and then you have like virgin conventional cotton with like a bunch of polyester and other stuff. It's an unrecyclable material. It is, doesn't even have sustainable agriculture, none of that. So the unique thing about Eco 3 is that it's applying a full cycle of sustainable garment washing. We're utilizing laser technology. We're utilizing the eco stones, where they're not made from mined resources that are coming from the earth. They're reusable. We're adapting e-flow technology and ozone technology to then be applied with ecological chemicals that are like hypochlorite free, and that also work better. And this is the most important characteristic: they work better with the more sustainable materials. And this is where a lot of people lose a lot of their quality, is because they're trying to apply old practices and principles with new practices and principles, and they're just clashing. So this
Yeah.
is the thing: is nowadays designers, they can't just be designing materials or designing wash methods and thinking of it as being separate, because a lot of these corporate companies, they're bigger. They have to have individual people. You got your wash and
Yeah.
fabric guys, you got your designers, and everyone's working separately. But this is the thing: is teamwork is dream work. And that is the most true statement, because at the end of the day, fabric and wash go hand in hand. You can't separate them. So when you're picking your fabrics and when you're picking your washes, you got to think about the two tandemly.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to end. Teamwork makes the dream work. But yeah, no, it definitely sounds like all these concepts are great. And if anyone wants to get in touch with Bossa, they can reach. Where can they find you?
Well, you can't find me unless you want to come to Los Angeles and enjoy the sunshine and help me with my garden. But
I
other
would
than
love
that, though,
to.
you can definitely contact Bosa's sales team. If you have questions for me, reach out to them. I'll contribute some any answers I can and any help I can. So feel free to reach out to Bosa.
Cool, amazing. Thank you, Jordan, and we'll talk soon.